This is an avocado, and this is a podcast. That makes this an avocado podcast.
My name is Rodney, and you're listening to The Young God, a podcast for gods. This isn't an official season 4 episode. This is a bonus episode that I just decided to put out because, one, I've been missing recording and doing this. I've been missing talking to you guys. I've been missing chatting shit. And the shit that makes sense, the shit that impacts people's lives and people's thinking and people's minds, man. I've missed sitting in front of this mic and just giving you guys a piece of my mind. And that's exactly what you're gonna get right now. I came across a tweet by accident that said, activists mostly end up being terrible leaders. To which someone clapped back, because noisemaking is the least required skill for good leadership. Damn. I felt that one. I really, really, really did. Straight to the heart of the matter. And this tweet had me thinking of all the inadequate people out there on social media championing social justice issues. By inadequate, I mean bitter and resentful, hateful, misinformed, ignorant. They don't want to hear a word. They just want to impose their pain on the world. And one thing that pain and bitterness does is it warps your worldview. It blurs your perspective. It makes it so that everything you see is through that lens of your prejudice. You lose all connection with reality, and you cannot change the world if you do not have an understanding of the world. And to understand the world, you need to have a good relationship with reality. So these social media activists, they are in a constant battle with reality, and they will always lose. I sincerely think that people can do a tremendous amount of good for themselves and their immediate community by looking to their own weaknesses and their own flaws and the things that they're not doing in their lives. From that point, they can start to build themselves up as more powerful individuals. And if they're capable of doing that, they'll be capable of expanding their career. And if they're capable of expanding their career and their competence, they'll be capable of taking their place in the community as effective leaders. And then they'll be capable of making wise decisions when it comes to issues that they champion. So as you can see, there's a process. There are steps. The original tweet that I mentioned, the original tweet that I mentioned is referring to those who skip all those steps and jump straight to becoming champions for a cause they don't fully understand and they're not equipped to handle. When you respect the process as an activist, it becomes less noise-making and more change-making. Do you feel me? So as it stands right now, a lot of social media activists online are deeply hurt and troubled people. They have things within their personal lives that are more difficult to deal with, that they're avoiding. And instead of facing that shit, they adopt extreme moralistic stances on large-scale social justice issues so that they look good to their friends and strangers, so that they feel like they have some sort of control. But you can't control the world or change the world if you're weak, if you're troubled. You know that saying, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That applies in this instance. People who don't have their houses in order should be very careful before they go about reorganizing the world. When you take on an issue in a troubled state of mind, you complicate things for everyone, both the victims and the oppressed and those who are trying to support you. Just look at issues like feminism, transgender rights, abortion, even the Me Too movement. All of these issues are basic things that everybody can get behind with little patience and tact and information. But some of these activists, they just make it all out war and difficult for anyone to actually understand what is going on and support them. And sure, we've made progress this way, but there's been unnecessary casualties along the way on both sides. I feel like something like gender rights or gender issues, for example, we could have arrived at the point where things got better without men are scum becoming the rallying cry. I feel like that took away the credibility of the entire movement just because it was coming from a place of hate and fear, not love, not um, not progress. You know? Just because your father treats your mother badly doesn't make you an expert on the issue. Doesn't mean you should tear down the entire system because you heard a few stories. Doesn't mean you cancel anyone who even slightly disagrees with you. You're not an activist simply because you don't like how women are being treated or because you're a victim of some gender-based attack. Because if that's the case, that's a low fucking bar. All of us should become noisy activists because we're all victims of something. We are all victims of something. But just because you're a victim or just because you feel strongly about something doesn't mean you are fit to carry the cause. You can talk about it, you can support an actual activist, but it's just scary how activism is an almost perfect front for a narcissist. It's so scary how many of these narcissists disguise themselves as compassionate, love-driven activists when in fact they're actually horrible people with misplaced priorities and self-serving agendas. You hate to see it. Whenever I scroll Twitter on the TL, it's so easy to spot them. They're the ones who are always condemning someone or something. They want the world to burn because they're suffering. They have opinions that are so extreme and out of touch with reality. Everyone is the enemy. They will tweet some wild shit, and when you challenge them, they block you. Not only are they narcissists, they are cowards. They are not there to have a conversation. Oh no. Their minds are not willing to be changed. They just want to feel powerful by pulling others down or by dancing on the graves of those who have made a mistake. These are the people that messed up feminism for everyone. These are the people that overcomplicated all the important issues of our time. If you can't address your own personal issues and take control of your small circle, you make a pretty poor revolutionary. That's the point I'm trying to make. Whatever will you intend to impose on the world must come from a place of authenticity, an authentic life. Be the change you want to see. Start with the man in the mirror. These are the things that we know, and yet, we still come out here and we blame capitalism. We blame patriarchy. We blame haters or our enemies. Sis, and I say sis because it's mostly women who get on this train a lot. Sis, don't try to impact the world until you have organized your own experience. Have some humility. If you cannot bring peace to your own household, to your own life, to your own mind, how dare you try to fix a community? How dare you try to fix the world? When I think about some of the greatest activists that ever lived, they started with themselves before they took on the world. Think of Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Martin Luther King. They all got their lives together, found peace and love before they took on the system. That kind of stability made them so much more effective. You had to pay attention. You knew that these guys were serious and they were not coming from a place that was lacking credibility. They went about their business the right way. The enemy couldn't poke holes in their activism. You can have an issue with their argument, but not on their character. That is what having your house in order does for you. Another good example is Chimamanda Adichie, the author turned activist. She got her shit together before she became a champion for feminism and womanhood. And whenever she talked about those issues, she expressed them in a manner that was dignified. She did those issues justice. She was clear and consistent about her message, and you could tell it came from a good place. You may disagree with her on certain things, but you could never question her character, her integrity, and her knowledge on the matter. You could never question her state of mind. That's what it means to be credible. You know? So, I'm not saying you have to be a celebrity or public figure, but your activism must come from a place of authenticity, a place of strength. Take the log out of your eye before you dare point out the log in the society's eye. That's what I'm saying. And then let's do better in being more discerning about the activists that we support, because just because they say they're feminists doesn't mean that they're the people to champion the cause. Doesn't mean that we should give them the support and the power they need. Like, I think of someone like Slumflower. You know, she just had everyone on her bandwagon, and it just gave her more power to talk on all kinds of shit and just, you know, cause trouble. And this is what happens when you give people who are troubled a platform. When you give them, you know, when you let their voice ring so loud, you validate them. You make them feel like they are okay the way they are. They don't need to do any more work. And that in itself becomes the problem. So we have to also like be conscious of the people that we get behind. If not, you know, things that should be common knowledge becomes a difficult argument for no goddamn reason. So, if you're going to change the world, if you're going to make it a better place, just make sure it comes from a good place. If not, you're just as problematic as the thing you're fighting against. This is the On God.
Season 4 coming soon. Next month. This is September. This is late September right now. So October, I think, expect the podcast to be back around the end of October. That last week. Still in recording phase right now. Still putting things together. Still getting my conversation episodes. I'm putting together all the new things. Interesting things that y'all are gonna love. You're gonna appreciate this. I'm excited, actually. You know, bringing in some poetry, some music, some ideas that you have never considered. Shaking all the tables. I'm talking dangerous conversations that touch, man. Boys will not be boys. Boys will be men, and men will be gods, yo. Yes. Feel that beat for a second. Rodney out. Oh.